Hey guys, Lockie from Focus Performance Training. This week I'm going to build off last week again, sort of building through, trying to keep a pattern. I'm going to avoid chopping and changing. We're going to look at programming for a CrossFit athlete. This is in particular a program, or not so much a program, but a layout or a plan of attack I did for one of the guys I'm programming for. I did it yesterday. I wanted to take it through because I see a lot of CrossFit athletes doing heaps of different programs. I've got a lot of friends who do CrossFit and want to get really good at it. They want to compete and they want to enjoy it as well. So I did up this program for one of my athletes who needs to get stronger and he needs to improve his ability in his weightlifting movements in particular. But he also needs to compete, and he's competing at the he's doing the online Torian Pro Qualifiers at the moment in a team event or a partner event. So he needed to keep that in mind over here. So I'm going to break this down, why I did stuff in the layout, and then I'll sort of cut it down. If you're interested and want more information on the program, how I program, feel free to like, subscribe, and then leave a comment below as well, and I can go into it a bit more. Okay, so 6 week or a 6 day block in the week, with Sunday being that sort of, take your time off, enjoy time with the family, relax, do whatever you need to do. Okay, Monday, I like leaving that as the start of the week. So you want your big session there, the big bang for buck stuff, and what we need to work on and improve the most. So we've got over here back squat. Now I sort of chop and change in this, and when I'm programming through the reps, sets, intensities for this program, for the big ones, so your back squat, your strict press, front squat, for the bench press and for the deadlift, I'm going to be using Juggernaut Training Systems Jug Method. And I'm going to start him in the 8s wave. So the Jug Method has 4 waves. First one being a 10s wave, where you do 4 weeks or 3 weeks of 10s, or you're focusing on 10 or sets of 10. Second wave being sets of 8. Third wave being sets of 5. And then third wave being sets of 3. I'm starting him on the wave of 8 because the previous program we ran through, he had a daily undulating program. We had on Monday was a set of 3x10. Wednesday was a set of 5x5, and Saturday was a set of 8x3 for back squat alone. So I progress him straight through. He's going to go straight into the 8th wave, and we're going to pull back on the volume and frequency of squatting to once a week for back squat and once a week for front squat, with the intent being that by Friday we should be pretty good to go, and we should be feeling pretty switched on and fresh, so we can hit that workout hard. Okay, so back squat over here. Next one we're going to go through is a vertical pull. All right, so we see a lot of CrossFit athletes doing, they do heaps of chin ups, heaps of butterfly, heaps of muscle ups. They do a lot of sort of work off a bar, but they don't do it as much. They don't do as much strict strength work, and that for me is a big injury prevention key. So if we can learn to load and move loads with I'll start it again. If we can move loads slow and controlled through the concentric and eccentric manner, and have some isometric pause in there as well, we're going to build a lot healthier muscles. Whereas when we see high volume kipping, butterfly pull-ups, muscle ups, there's a lot of dynamic loading on the muscles and joints. And in those who aren't as proficient, so you see the really nice kipping, butterfly pull-ups you see at the games, but those who aren't as efficient yet or don't have the movement pattern down that well just yet, there's a lot of dropping and sudden load on the joints and tendons and ligaments. So we need to build them up to be able to deal with that for worst case scenario. They need that skill or movement pattern as a requirement for their sport. Do I agree with it? As a movement pattern for someone else? Not really, but it's a requirement for the sport. Okay, so I need to pull back on whatever my bias is, and I need to look at how I'm going to bulletproof the athlete for that. So you'll see a vertical pull here and a vertical pull here. You'll notice I pretty much chop and change that or add that in wherever there's a vertical push movement. So try and keep the vertical push to vertical pull ratio fairly similar. Next one, we have single leg sagittal plane. Okay, so if you know your planes, your sagittal plane will be your step ups, your lunges, so moving back and forth pretty much, okay? And that's a pretty straightforward one. Again, we're looking at injury prevention, we're looking at getting some good feeling through your legs, and it's a chance for us to work on our mobility. So a big one that I like here and that the athlete likes is split squats on a platform or raised up. So both feet are raised, and we can lower down nice and low, get some good range of motions for the ankle and the rear hip. Okay, second session from there, we can break it down to a real traditional 8 to 12 minute Metcon. Now what I like to do with my Metcons is they're all through the bottom through here, is instead of just going through a random workout every day, let's try and have a purpose for that workout and maybe have that week to week over 2 to 3 weeks. I pull away from just a random workout here and there because we want to get better. We want to see that we're subjectively getting better, or objectively, sorry, getting better at a workout across time and the ability to hold that pace. So we might have a work in there that we know he's done in the past, he's been weak at. So we try a strategy and we pull back big time and work to hold a certain way the whole way through. Then we can increase the speed or the volume next week, and then the week after, then we can test and go hard. Okay? So that's the 8 to 12 minute Metcon there. We can play around with that and change that day to day or week to week and see how we're feeling, seeing what's weak and what's coming up. And maybe there's something from the Torian qualifiers the week before that we noticed was a weak point. We can start working on that over here and here. Okay? Tuesday, when we get into the nuts and guts of the weightlifting stuff, so his clean's quite strong, so I'm happy with that to be at the start of the week so we can have and maintain good movement patterns there. The power snatch, that's one of his weaknesses, so we really need to work on keeping a bar nice and close to the body. He tends to kick it out and away from him. And that's going to help sort of drill it in. So that'll be a power snatch or a power snatch variant, i.e. some sort of complex there. After that, strength work in the strict press, and then we move through into snatch pull. And the snatch pull for him is going to be really important. It's going to carry across to his power snatch because that's going to work on that good start position, coming through to an explosive second pull up into a very, very good high pull, working on keeping that bar nice and close. And that is going to be imperative, ensuring he has good movements through his weightlifting movements. Gymnastic volume, so this athlete's a little bit weak on his gymnastics, so we've decided to throw in some gymnastic work there. So I'm not a professional when it comes to gymnastics and teaching that. So in the case in CrossFit, there's heaps of different programs out there, heaps of people who offer some amazing products. If there's someone that you know that has some good gymnastic programming for accessory work or working towards more efficient muscle ups or butterflies, if that's your weakness, then we can start adding in some more gymnastic style technique work and some volume, working on building the capacity there and the ability to do it. It doesn't need to be high intensity, but what we need to be able to do is maintain volume under fatigue. So that's there. And then the third session of the day is a lactic acid or a lactic buffering session, okay? So for me, typically that's going to come in the form of 30 seconds on, 1 minute 30 off, or 15 to 45 seconds of work with a work to rest ratio of 1 to 3. So if you work for 15 seconds, you're going to rest for 45. If you work for 30 seconds, you're going to rest for 1 minute 30. You get the idea. Those sessions, we do them once a week because they can be real nasty, but they're going to allow us to go deep into that sort of threshold of where that pain is, that sort of pain cave, so to speak. Dig deep and we can get a pretty effective stimulus in terms of our ability to recover into set and our ability to use lactic acid as a fuel and to use the substrate elsewhere. Okay, because remember, lactic acid doesn't cause fatigue. It's correlated with fatigue, but it's a very, very valuable fuel source for other parts of the body. Okay. Wednesday, jerk, and this is one of his weaknesses. His jerk and his snatch are probably his weaker two movements, and we need to work on them. Okay, so we've got jerk, and that won't be your traditional jerk. It could be jerk off blocks, it could be a jerk balance. We're looking at jerk related movements. Okay. After that, we've got front squat. So we want to do the technique work, relatively fresh. Then the front squat after that being the strength program. So again, that's going to be in sets of 8, which is really disgusting for a front squat. Okay, so you're going to have fun with that. After that, vertical pull. Again, this is going to be strict vertical pull work, whether it's unloaded this time or loaded. So if on Monday it was a loaded variant, today will be unloaded and it'll be more body weight working on that. And that's going to be coming with a gymnastic volume. So we've got quite heavy here, gymnastics technique there, and then we come into sort of a recovery there. So this is going to be something I'm going to have to watch in terms of upper body injuries because there is quite a bit of volume there, but we know in CrossFit that's one of the suck-up points, and that we're going to have to get used to it and build that capacity to be able to deal with it. So it's how we gradually build that volume. That's going to be higher than these two. These will typically be sort of sets of maybe 3 to 4 sets, whereas that's going to be more sort of 20 minutes of work. Okay. Now, single leg frontal plane. Frontal plane is when we move across. So think Cossack squats, Think lateral, walking laterally with a sled. Think lateral step-ups, lateral lunges, that sort of thing. So the reason I'm throwing that in is because very rarely in CrossFit do people move across different planes. They seem to be, it's very, very sagittal plane in CrossFit. Very rarely we're going side to side or on multi directions. So I'm throwing that in there for a bit of injury prevention, making sure he's moving well in all planes, and just for general health and well-being as well, because that's a really important one that I see people get quite jumped up. So if we can move in different manners, it's going to allow our body to move more freely. After that, we've got a bit of a longer metcon, 12 to 15 minutes. We can burn a little bit harder, looking for more of that real open style workout alongside with Monday, because we do have the open coming up in October as well, so we need to be prepared for that. Moving on to Thursday. So snatch, again, won't be your traditional snatch I used to snatch from the floor. It'll be some form of block snatch, hang snatch, or a snatch lift off with a snatch pull to a snatch, or one of the good ones for him is a high hang pull, high hang snatch, mid hang snatch. So we're really working on that triple extension and where the bar path is and being efficient under that bar. Moving on, we've got a power clean, power jerk. We need to remember that in CrossFit, we need to be good at cycling the barbell. Okay, so these ones here, we'll look at power cleans and power jerks and his ability to cycle, to keep that skill there, to reinforce that. So we've worked on some power snatches before. We've worked on cleans so we can carry over those similar techniques that we've worked on into the cycling, ensuring we're coming back to the ground in the same position each time and our bum doesn't rise up under fatigue. After that, some heavy clean pulls. Again, we're working our position off the floor to our first pull, to our second pull, and extending up nice and tall. From there, this is much lighter in volume and intensity gymnastics techniques. So this might be 5 minutes of working on muscle up transition with some single leg pistol squats. So it's going to be low drag, low intensity, and low impact as well. More working on technical proficiency. Reason for that, we want this to be a relatively light day before we move into the Friday, being Torian qualifiers. So we want to have this to be more almost an active recovery day, more than a full-on session. Coming into Friday feeling relatively fresh. Okay, so Torian qualifier is our utmost priority. So if we don't have time, we can cut away the bench press and pen lay row. If we have time, these are nice to throw in for CrossFit athletes, again, because they don't get much exposure to them. And they're good for that loaded movement. So we do lots of push-ups. So push-ups are seen a lot in CrossFit, or burpees. This is going to help with shoulder health. And upper body horizontal rowing is something that, in my opinion, is heavily neglected in CrossFit. You rarely see that movement performed. Some people say you do it your muscle up when you come up towards a bar. I'd argue against that because it's not a strict movement and you're not doing it under control. So pen lay row, setting us up in a nice strong position, rowing through, good for shoulder health, and then we can superset these if we need to with some accessory work, being some neutral grip dumbbell press and some single arm dumbbell rows, or some seated machine rows for sort of scap control and scap movement under load. Again, the idea is to take the dynamic aspect of CrossFit out of it and add some more gradual loading for ligaments and tendon health. Okay. And Saturday, I like programming Saturday as a relatively heavier session or longer session because people tend to have more time on Saturdays. So I'm not too worried in which order these go in. So either you can go in the morning and do a big 40-minute sort of EMOM, a chipper, or a grind workout. Happy for that big session to be done on a Saturday. From there, going through and working into snatch variants. So looking at sort of triples and the snatch and clean and jerk, working from the floor, trying to put together the skills we've tried to hone in during the week, and then culminating them into this part just here. It's important for CrossFit athletes to still deadlift though, even though we are doing some clean pulls and some snatch pulls. Deadlift is an important movement to have in your repertoire and to be strong with your deadlift. Okay, so this will be in there. Athlete tends to recover quite quickly from deadlifts and doesn't get too sore from them. So this is a really good point. I can sort of throw this in after the clean and jerk and snatch, because relatively to deadlift, these two are both going to be sub-maximal in absolute load. They'll be maximal in their effort, but because he's much stronger than he's in terms of his front squat compared to his clean and jerk, it's not going to have that massive neural drain. Whereas for myself, if I was to try and deadlift after a heavy clean and jerk session, I would probably be well below par in performance. This is one of the ways I can get away with it. When this comes up, that'll most likely drop off and being every second week. With this every second week being higher in volume, and then the opposing week when we're deadlifting, lower in volume. Okay? So this is my take on how I'd plan out a week, and we can push this over to 9 days and even to a fortnight if we need to, if we see that there's more skills that are being deficient. But this is how I'd look at the take on incorporating weightlifting and strength into a CrossFit program. Now, it's not uncommon for some people who do CrossFit to have 2 or 3 programs going at a time. Problem with that being is some of those programs aren't designed to be done in conjunction with other programs. Now, if you will, think of a cup being full. Okay, so you've got a cup. Oh God, there's a cup here like that. Okay, and the analogy I use is that this program, for example, is designed to fill probably about 90% of that cup. So I'll change colours. 90% of the cup, about up to here. Okay, allowing a bit of space just here for recovery. So you don't want to go 100% all the time unless this is all you're doing. You've got everything else controlled. For example, your life controlled, everything outside is controlled. This 10% here allows for some fudge room with life to happen. So all this is taken up by the program, right? Now, when you have one program designed to take up 85-90% of the cup, and then you add in another program which is designed to take up its own 85-90% of the cup, people tend to get this overflow effect where it just comes over the top and you can't actually get the most out of it. So the problem with that is that you're half-assing each program, which isn't ideal. If you've got a program, you may as well get the most out of it. And this is where my speciality comes into it. We can look at programs and go, all right, what do we need from this program? Because sometimes you need an extra accessory program. For example, I'm promoting going and finding someone who does a good gymnastic accessory program here and taking bits and pieces that you know work for you and building upon them for yourself. Because I'm not an expert in everything. My sort of speciality lies with our weightlifting variants and strength variants. I can program intelligent energy system conditioning and work off heart rate zones. However, this is a weak point for me. So I refer out and I find someone who's very good and I get a program which is synergistic with the program I currently have to develop that a lot more intelligently rather than going, okay, I'm going to do online program X with online program Y with my CrossFit boxes programming at the same time. Because all CrossFit box programming is designed to fill 90% of the cup. It's supposed to be a standalone program. That's the idea of it. So we need to be aware of that when we're adding extra stuff to our cup or our programming pool. There are some pretty intelligent guys in the CrossFit world who think that weightlifting isn't as important as sort of our aerobic conditioning or our strength aerobic effort or aerobic capacity is more important than our strength or our weightlifting components. And I'd agree. A very good gymnastics base is vital for CrossFit. Having a decent strength base is important, but having a great engine is even more important. And that's why here we've got some form of conditioning piece every day bar Thursday, where Thursday is our recovery day. Well, we've still got some form of sweat work going on here, but it's not designed to get your heart rate going that hard. We've still got some work here, but this is where the effort comes in. So you want a bit of a rest day before that, and then we can have an active recovery on the Saturday coming back from it. So we need to be aware of that. And when we're looking at strength training, when we want to try and just maintain strength has been maintained in some professional athletes with 2 sessions a week, lasting 45 minutes. So if you're looking to improve your aerobic capacity while maintaining strength, then look at programming intelligently and going 1 to 2 strength sessions a week and focusing on your aerobic capacity or your CrossFit style workout, Okay? So I hope this has been a bit of an eye-opener or a little bit of start asking some questions about how you're programming for your CrossFit or functional fitness. I can do this, and this sort of protocol or method will fit most people, and it would be very applicable to someone who's got good movement patterns and is the word I'm looking for is escape me. who is proficient with movements in terms of the snatch and the clean and jerk and your weightlifting and some gymnastic stuff. Alternatively, this can be good for someone who's a complete beginner. We've got some very good foundational movement patterns, we've got a good strength base, and we have the opportunity, 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities throughout the 7-day week to build upon weightlifting technique, which is very, it fatigues and it declines at a fast rate. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in a program, something like this, or bringing all your programs together and making the best product, let me know, comment, subscribe, send me a message if you want. Again, team, Lockie from Focus Performance Training. Hope this has helped. Hope this has given you a bit of insight into how my brain works when I'm programming for functional athletes or CrossFit athletes. See you next week.